Was not expecting them both to go off at once. But my hunch about the cave was correct. 60 divided by 8. How do you make an 8-way conveyor belt? I'd have to use the third dimension. What is behind this? I'm getting mycelia, lots of mycelia, but some part of me was expecting a whole horde of stingers and all that. Maybe they're right there and they're just waiting for me to show up so that they can mob me. Maybe there's something else in this cave that I haven't encountered yet. Split it 4 ways. Split it 240 divided by 4 is 60. Those 4 ways. I'll have to go to one. I have to spread this out pretty far. What is an 8-way conveyor belt gonna look like? Or 8-way splitter. I mean, you can split 3 ways, but that won't work. Maybe just bite the bullet and underclock it. There's something moving up ahead. It's making my spine tingle. Face tingle. Quite possibly everything tingle. Put me down. What is that thing? That's no stinger I've ever seen before. Height advantage. Oh, but the problem is that toxic stuff. I'll be able to breathe down there. It's not really getting off that thing anytime soon. Unless it takes this rock like this bridge like an expressway. It comes across it. And sinks its teeth right into my neck. I sound like Hunter S. Thompson, don't I? Whoa, no, I was not ready for that. Well, there are 2 questions that come to mind immediately. One, can that spider climb on it's after me. Okay, apparently the answer is yes. Oops. Whoa! I saw that. I saw that. Is he gonna come out with it? Not when I do. Well, okay, maybe I should have shot that thing while I was far enough away from it to peacefully observe it, but going to go back there? Is he going to stay where it is? What's he going to do? How much mycelium did I get out of that, though? 33. You can never get mycelium in mass quantities. I don't know why. Okay, so start thinking in the third dimension, shall we? This may require a this probably is going to require a foundation, so I'm going to put one down. And put it nice and nearby. There's no way I was ever going to melee that spider. Splitters don't have to mark anything, do they? Alright, so conveyor belts. Mark 1, 2, 3. There it is. Now there's another question which I need the answer to. Okay, this way isn't gonna work. But the other two ways are fine. My vertical conveyor lifts. They can transport 120 resources in. But the way that they... Oh my goodness. Okay, I didn't mean to build them that way. What I mean to do here is aim the other end of this so that it... How do you turn this thing? Okay, yeah, that goes that way. And that way. Wait a minute. Okay, and then those go into two more splitters. More splitters. They're going to be well, I mean, my first impulse is to make them go in all four directions of the compass: north, south, east, and west. But the problem with doing that is I don't have room in all four directions. Can I put a splitter somewhere where there's no actual foundation? Like, where it's just at the end of... Yeah, see, I don't think I can. I need to put something there for it to sit on. Is this going over the... looks like it is. took this out, and I won't use the third dimension just yet. For right now, I'll be okay with the second. Oh look, all my signs. Oh, logistics. I think I might need another foundation here, though. So put that one there. That one in there. Okay, and then are they both so close that they automatically overlap each other's? Okay, I think that was a little too close, actually. I thought I'd be able to reach in there to build, but all right, there. It's like the minimum possible. So these will have the full 120. And then each of these, I can build these in directions that are available to use. And the splitter that immediately connects to the miner is off limits. It's pumping out items at 120. The really hard part is going to be when we get right down to the eighths and such. Unless, of course, I underclock the constructors. If I did that, then I could drag them both down to, what, 20? Maybe that? I mean, look, this is the first time I'm doing anything with cores at all, so, also thinking of power requirements. Where did I put that pole? Oh, way back there. Building in this direction, too. Well, I have to double back on myself for that. Alright, so, I would have to make it so that, all these are pulling out if I make them all work at 20, all the constructors work at 20 meters, 20 units a minute, then everything will be split evenly, but, let's see, the nearest, I guess, multiple of 20 by a power of 2 is 160? I am underusing this a bit. Maybe I'll come back to it. It's too low. Problem is, 160 is a third of that. Okay, forget about powers of 2 then. What about powers of... Well, okay, fine. Back to that, there's 60 of them. If we were to... 60 of them coming out of one of these, if we were to put them in 3 even directions, and then calibrate the constructors, underclock them, such that they would all... they'd all use 20 a minute. That's another thing. I'm wondering, can I do that? Again, it's theoretically possible, but But am I gonna run into like a weird fraction or something? I'll tell you what, let me just test this theory here. See if I can save myself from... I was wondering why I couldn't put this anywhere. Okay, fine, it's time for the crafting bench again. These things use cable. Fortunately, I can make a lot of cable right now. Maybe craft up to 32. Ah, whatever. It's down as soon as it can. So, a quartz crystal accepts 5 raw quartz at 7.5 a minute. These weird fractions. 89%. It's actually like a fraction of 89%, like somewhere between 89 and 90%, 89 and 88%. If I can't do that, that teeny little difference is gonna become a worse and worse problem. Which means I'm kind of stuck doing it this way, making it an 8-way splitter. Making 4 8-way splitters, I should say. And then... wait, how many of these... unless I underclocked it to an even multiple of 240, like 120. Now with 120... you split these out to 60 apiece, and then... you have to take more of them that are 30 apiece, even more that are 15 apiece. Although, maybe I bite the bullet here and make the extra. If it's at all possible to, the problem is you can't calibrate these things so that they put out, like, these are always going to split into either halves or thirds. It's never going to be anything else. That's what's really frustrating here. Let's put down some more foundations. Since I don't have a jetpack and can't hover in the air, this was a lot harder to build than expected, especially since I was building in a confined space. To summarize, here are some calculations I doodled on the back of an envelope. Welcome to Back of the Envelope Calculation Theater. So we have a pure node being mined by a Mark II miner, putting out 240 units of quartz per minute. Now, the way these constructors work is that you need, out of a possible stream of 60 a minute, you need 5/8 of that stream for crystalline quartz and 3/8 for silica. So you have to divide something by 8 somewhere, and what better place to do it than at the source, at that 240. So 240 divided by 8 is 30. 5 times that, or 5/8 of the stream, is 150. 3/8 of that stream would be 90. Now, if you divide 150 by 4, you get the 37.5 per minute needed to make quartz, crystalline quartz. So we'd end up using 4 constructors to divvy up the 150 a minute stream. Similarly, 90 divided by 4 is the 22.5 per minute you need for silica. So you take the 90 a minute stream and divide it up into 4 silica constructors. Now, how exactly are we going to do something as complicated as dividing a stream by 8? Because dividing anything by 8 requires 7 splitters. You take a hypothetical 60 a minute stream and feed it into one splitter. Then you have to split that outputs of that splitter, which there are 2 of them because 8 is a power of 2, into two 30 a minute streams and feed each of them into another splitter that splits it 2 ways. So now you've got 4 more, one for each output of the prior pair of splitters. And so they're going in at 15 a minute and coming out at 7.5 a minute. Then you take 3 of them, merge them in, and you get 22.5 a minute for silica. And then you have to merge the remaining 5 in. But to do that requires 2 mergers. One of them will take 3 7.5 a minute outputs. The other will take the remaining 2 plus the output of the first to give you 37.5 a minute. I imagine all this is making your head ache a bit. So we need 7 splitters as described plus 3 mergers. And that's not to mention the 3 splitters we're going to need at each end of this for the 4 constructors. There's a piece we're going to use. That's going to take up a lot of space unless instead of building across, I build up and stack the gates on top. I should say stack the splitters on top of each other. So this is not exactly the easiest thing in the world to draw on the back of an envelope, is it? I mean, there are 4 directions, and we're only going to be able to view 2 of them at a time. So I've got 2 views here for the stack of 7 that makes the 8-way split. One of them has the northern and the eastern view, and the other one the southern and the western view, so that you can see all 4 views and see all 4 sides of this stack of 7 splitters. This is a purely theoretical build because I'm not exactly sure which direction this is going to be facing, but let's just, for sake of argument, put the initial stream, which I'm going to call stream number 0, in the north-facing side of this stack on the lowest level. Now this would be the first gate, the one that takes 2 splits. Connect each of them to another 2-way splitter. We're going to stack those on top of the first, but each of them has to go to a different splitter. Now we've still got 2 outputs, at least 2 outputs per splitter available, but one of them is blocked off. One of them on the bottom is blocked off because connection number 2, the one that goes out from the splitter, the first splitter, to the topmost of the 2 splitters to make the 4-way split, is blocking the bottommost splitter for the 4-way split, as you can kind of see here. So now we're splitting it 4 ways, but we still need to split those 4 ways into 2 ways apiece to make 8 outputs. Now this is kind of like before, but not entirely. But it's more complicated, of course, exponentially more complicated. You see conveyor belts 3 through 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6, each connect to a different splitter, and they're going to be stacked on top of, well, this whole pile. And as you can see by the X's, some of the outputs are going to be blocked off, but there are still going to be enough of them. If you take a close look at the at the south-facing side and the east-facing side, there are enough free spaces for the 8-way split. And since if you're looking southeast, you can see all 8 of them. So now we get to the point where we start grouping them together. We'll start with the 3-way merge because it's the easier of the two. But the 3-way merge still needs to be split into a 4-way split because there are going to be 4 constructors at the end of this. So let's take 3 outputs from the stack of splitters for the 8-way split and put them into a merger that's going to be at the top of this pile here. We've got we're using the lowest possible ones we can find. We can only use 2 per splitter in that stack for the 8-way. But notice that they're all going into the same merger because mergers can accept 3 inputs and 1 output. Where's the output going to go? Well, easy. It's pretty much the reverse. It's what we did before, but in the opposite direction, going down instead of up. So conveyors number 7 is going to connect the merger to the first 2-way splitter, and then connections number 8 and 9 are going out to the next 2, and we're going to end up with 4 outputs, 1 for each constructor. Note also that the outputs are on the southwest and the southeast facing side. Why exactly do I have the sides of this facing southwest and southeast? Well, in a word, it's because, like I described earlier, the original stack for the 8-way splitter faces north, east, south, and west, but the outputs face south or east. And so it would be much easier to access if we angle this stack of mergers and splitters that takes inputs from the 8-way splitter at a 45-degree angle, so that you don't have to deal with as much of a turn when accepting outputs from the 8-way splitter. Now that was the easy part. We still have to merge the remaining 5 outputs of the 8-way splitter. How to do that? Well, we could add to our stack of mergers and splitters, which we used for the 3-way merge and 4-way split for the silica. Yeah, let's do that. So that's even more difficult to represent on the back of an envelope. I mean, yeah, you need 2 mergers, 1 for 3 inputs, 1 for the remaining 2 plus that combination of that 3. And I'm going to be sitting them on top of the original stack. And that's what these dotted lines are for. I mean, we're not exactly going to be hovering these 2 mergers on top, over the pile. We're going to be stacking them on top. But in order to do that, I would have had to draw the connections all the way over the stack, and it would get kind of squishy there for a minute. So we're going to take the remaining 5 outputs of the 8-way splitter and put them into the mergers, like this. And then we're going to take the output of that connection number 10, I guess, and combine it with the remaining 2 left from the 8-way splitter into a second merger. Meaning that there's going to be one output, that output of the second merger, that's going to be 5/8. It's going to be 150 units a minute. And it shouldn't be too difficult to take that and split it 4 ways. In fact, it's so easy, I'm not even drawing it. I'm just representing it by symbols. So to cut a long story short, you have 240, a stream of 240 split 8 ways. 3 of those 8 ways are merged into a stream of 90, which is represented by connection number 7, and 5 of them are going to be combined into a stream of 150, which is the one going out at the top of that stack there, and into, well, that set of gates, which I suppose it can just stick anywhere. In each case, the stream of 150 and the stream of 90 both have to be split 4 ways among 4 constructors for a 37.5 minute stream for the crystal quartz and the 22.5 minute stream for the silica. Now, yes, this doesn't use any power. This is all just conveyor belts, mergers, and splitters, but it is still the most complicated thing I have ever had to describe in back-of-the-envelope calculation theater.